So today in crypto news, I'll be discussing the daily charts and the possible prices of Bitcoin and how this is behaving with these strong resistances and if this is possibly the reversal that we have been waiting. I'm also gonna analyze the hourly chart to see what the Bitcoin price might do in the near future. I'll be discussing a very controversial topic regarding gold and Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin the digital gold? And also, is it actually better than gold? I'll try to answer these questions and some misconceptions in this video. So if you're curious about this, just chill and keep watching. Hello, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is your host, the Chick Entrepreneur. And today's video, I want to do the crypto analysis a little bit shorter because I have a really interesting topic to discuss with you guys later on. So let's head up to the daily chart right now. We've been discussing in the past videos around this 20 EMA line. We've seen that the price actually broke this level and it actually retested and tried to go up, but it's still retesting this level. But something to bear in mind is that it has not broken this line. And also there is this 6.5K price here supporting. And as we've discussed before, this 6.5 to 6 line has been a really important price range with a lot of support. And now that we've broken, we can actually see a real reversal initiate. But we'll have to wait and see. Heading to the hourly chart and what's going on. From the last video, I highlight this potential channel, and it seems that it's still holding right there. I was actually a little bit worried when the price actually broke in here, uh, because I actually bought a little bit more in this retrace. When it actually broke, I was thinking about possibly selling or hedging the position, but then I saw this 200 EMA. And one thing that I want you guys noticing is that you have to trade, or one of the best ways to trade is to trade with a path of least resistance. So for instance, before doing any trade and before selling, even though I saw this candle, I said, okay, what are the resistances to the downtrend, right? So we have this 200 EMA, we have this really important 6.5K level, but we also have this very important 20 EMA. So what I decided to do is just letting, well, I set some stop losses, some take profit for some positions at 6.6K 380 more or less. Because I said, okay, there is a lot of resistance here. If this actually breaks down, it will be a huge candle and it would actually drive the price towards 6.3K or maybe even towards 6K. But well, I'm glad that I let it run. It actually went back up, and something that you'll notice is that this started forming this kind of like small downtrend that we've seen in previous videos and how the price has not been able to actually break up. But today at around 12, this candle was really important, and a lot of bears call that candle like a really weak pump. But I don't think the purpose of that candle was to pump the price up. It was really to break this 50 EMA decisively. And with this amount of volume, it actually establishes that the price is most likely to go above this 50 EMA line. And also within this small downtrend, it actually broke the line. And again, something that I've been telling you is whenever we have a line being broken, the best way to trade that is through the retest. So it actually broke, it went back down to retest it, and now it kind of seems that it might go up. I wouldn't be surprised if the price goes all the way up to 6.9K. Actually, I might take some profits in there if it does. But again, this is the market that it can do whatever it wants in reality, so you gotta be prepared just to see. But in my particular opinion, if the price goes down and breaks all the resistances, it has to be a really big candle and most likely won't stop until like 6K, if not even lower. So I've put all my stop losses and take profits below this level just to see what happens. But I think even particularly in this trade, it is more likely to go up. And even because we've talked about how stretched this uptrend is and how this bearish channel was way wider, so we might see a pump in the next few days up to this kind of level just to try to widen this channel and create really a higher high, because we have not seen a higher high in the daily chart. I mean, it's better than the low definitely, but we still need to see this higher high just before saying it's a complete reversal. And just to finish crypto analysis, I wanted to head with shorts and longs, and this is basically how the people are feeling, how the people are betting if Bitcoin is gonna go up or if it's gonna go down. And something to bear in mind is that the average, the exponential moving averages have been going up for the bulls, and this is a good signal because people are getting more bullish about the price and are thinking that it's gonna go higher. And for instance, this retrace is basically people taking profits most likely from these lows. But at the same time, the shorts are still going down. I am quite surprised because if people would be so confident that the price was going to go down, they would be actually betting on that. They would be actually trading Bitcoin to go lower. But apparently, this is not really the case, and that's a really good signal and sign that the market is trying, well, it's starting to shift towards a bullish sign. I mean, there's still no confirmation, but we will see in the following days. So right now I'm gonna discuss a very interesting topic. So I would like to hear your opinion and also just put any comments that you think this is true, maybe it's not. Well, we'll see. So welcome guys to the discussion section. Today we're gonna talk about is Bitcoin an improved digital gold? I'm gonna tell you guys my opinion about this and some common misconceptions regarding both assets. So I'm gonna go through some topics: inflation, deflation, centralization of both assets, their convenience, their hedging value against fiat, and some common misconceptions. Um, well, let's just dive in. So first of all, deflation. As you know, both of these assets they have a limited supply. And in terms of gold, it's a limited resource, but actually the supply is increasing due to mining. And you can argue that Bitcoin behaves in a similar fashion, and this is true. But Bitcoin is different to gold in this respect because the supply is algorithmically fixed. So you can actually quantify how much Bitcoin is gonna be out in the market and until when that's gonna happen. And that's some uncertainties that you have with gold. You don't have the actual reserves in the world. You don't exactly know how much gold is still left to mine, and the supply is increasing due to mining. So there is this huge uncertainty over Bitcoin. Next is centralization. So gold is very centralized, and why is this? Because if you have gold miners, they have to sell their gold to the manufacturing industries, right? They have to create jewelry, they have to create the ingots, and then after that they'll sell to smaller stores, which will actually sell to other smaller stores, and then it actually gonna be sold to retailer clients. And there's layer upon layer upon layer of people profiting from gold and from this industry, and that's why there's this like inflation in price because of these huge amounts of middlemen. I mean, in theory, this could be decentralized because there's nothing stopping you from buying gold from someone else that owns like a ring or whatever you want to buy. But in practice, this is not really done, at least not to the extent that Bitcoin is. And on the other hand, we have Bitcoin, which is entirely decentralized. Basically, anyone can buy, they can sell, or they can mine Bitcoin. And yeah, you can argue the amount of power that you would need to actually mine and be profitable Bitcoin, but I think that's outside the scope of this video because the fact is that anyone can do it, and there's more and more methods to actually uh, for this to be possible and actually be profitable, like mining pools and so on. Let's talk about the convenience of both assets. So gold is very difficult and expensive to mine. You just have to think about all the machinery that is required, and not even, I mean, it's not even just that. You also have to think about the value of the land and the permits and the licenses, and it's very costly. Uh, and also, it's also costly to transport. If you want to move gold from one place to the other, you're gonna use fuel, and that fuel is gonna be basically money that you are burning just to transport that. And as far as security goes, if you want to actually own gold in a tangible form, you're gonna have to invest in a safe, and you're gonna have to invest in security, and that's not gonna be mobile, so it's very expensive and it has those drawbacks. And you can say, well, I'm gonna buy my gold and put it in a reserve. Well, you might be thinking that this is heavily centralized, and for instance, you don't know if they actually have the gold and how they store it. And this is very compared to banks because and also Bitcoin because banks own in reality they own the money and they give you like this ownership receipt, which is really a debt saying, okay, we owe you this amount of Bitcoin or we owe you this amount of fiat currency. And it's the same with the gold reserves. They say or they give you a paper that establishes that they owe you, but in reality, if they have that gold, it's another whole story. And Bitcoin is very different from gold in this respect because it's relatively cheap to mine. Like everyone who has a computer can actually do it. And there's a lot of mining operations that are using alternative energy, using solar panels. They're using wind turbines in order to reduce these costs. Also, it does not require transportation. It's already in the blockchain and it's basically on everyone's computer or on everyone's mining computers. So there is not required to invest in this. I mean, and you might disagree and say, well, there's these fees that you have to pay, but in comparison to transport 1 ounce of gold from one country to country, I think this is nothing in comparison to that. And about security, it uses cryptography security, which is the SHA-256, which was developed and used by the NSA in order to, to transport and to communicate on well, classified information and very sensitive data. And this is why it's really important. Bitcoin is very, very secure. It's very safe to use. And there's a big misconception that I want to bring up because you hear a lot of these markets and exchanges being hacked. And I think it's a misconception because a lot of people might think that they can actually hack your Bitcoin. But in reality, I mean, I just mentioned what happens with banks. These exchanges, they have their own passwords for these Bitcoin reserves or whatever cryptocurrency reserves. So whenever they are hacked, these hackers go into their systems and they go into their servers and find out those passwords, and that's how they can actually retrieve those cryptocurrencies. So in reality, they don't hack the Bitcoin network. They can hack. It's almost impossible, and until now, it's impossible to actually do that. It's one of the safest way to store money, if you like. And of course, I mean, you might argue about how you store it, but that's outside of the scope of this video because how you store it, it's really up to you, and that's also very important because you have these wallets, hard wallets, and so on. And in reality, it's up to you. But in terms of if it's hackable, in reality, wallets are not that hackable at all. Finally, I'm going to talk about the hedging value. So they both serve as a speculative store of value. For instance, whenever the stock market crashes, what's the first thing that people do? They buy gold, they buy silver. And with major unexpected events, just as natural disasters, or for instance, if you saw a very, well, not very recently, but in the past, with North Korea testing these nuclear weapons, uh, all the if you see the market at that price, all the stock market basically crashed in a matter of a day. But what rise it was basically gold, and the reason is because people believe that gold has this this value before these events and after these events. So that's why people buy gold and these commodities. Finally, they both rely heavily on supply and demand. For instance, for these both assets, supply is limited, so the price is really driven by the demand. Is there a lot of demand or not? So to finish this video, I want to talk about some common misconceptions of gold. So if you do your own research, you're gonna find out that yearly is about 50% of this whole gold industry. Investments is around 40%, and this is basically the speculative side, just the same as Bitcoin, and just the industry is it's only 10%. And whenever you bring this question, like, is Bitcoin better than gold? People are gonna rant about it and they're gonna say, yeah, but no, no, no. How can you actually say that? Because gold is tangible. Gold, has these many properties. Gold is really something that you can hold. And Bitcoin's in there. Bitcoin, there's nothing. And that's a really misconception because if you can't rely this price on only 10% industry. It's mostly speculative and vanity reasons why the price is it's to this point. And also you could argue that Bitcoin has also an industry, which is the mining industry. And you could also say that, well, there's actually some value behind the currency or behind Bitcoin. Well, guys, I just wanted to conclude this video. I had some problems with my camera right now, but in any case, I just wanted to finish with yeah, there is still some properties of gold that are really good, like conductivity and anti-corrosive properties. But if you really put that into consideration, we still have silver and copper, which are better conductors and are still cheaper. And for anti-corrosive properties, you can still galvanize metals or you can create anti-corrosive coatings. So there is no reason why to appreciate gold's price by just its industry. So I think that's a misconception that gold has and people who are invested in gold. But in any case, this is where I wanted to finish this video. So if you like the video, please thumbs up, like it, and if you didn't like it, just click that dislike button. And just before I go, remember, stay smart, stay bold, but most important of all, stay cheeky. Thank you.